see if this lapel mic works. I think it does. Hot dog. Then I don't have to use the podium either.
Nope.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be out in Western Pennsylvania. I've had the pleasure of spending a lot more time out here recently, and it's good to be back. I do want to do a little rabble-rousing. So thanks for telegraphing that punch. We find ourselves, or at least I find myself, 88 days away from unemployment, being an appointee of Governor Rendell, who's leaving office. After, I think, 8 incredibly productive years that have advanced a lot of the things that we all hold dear, protection of the public lands, recreation, the connection of recreation and trails to economic revitalization. I was going to start this talk. I was given some talking points by my staff, and I have the best staff in the world. I want to recognize, in fact, I would like all the DCNR employees to please stand up for a second. Women and men at DCNR are, without exception, the finest group of public servants I have ever had the privilege of being a part of. And I say that very sincerely. I came to DCNR about 5.5 years ago and was immediately impressed with the fact that these folks bring their heart and soul to work every single day.
1 second, the mic died.
Okay. Just for a second. All right. This is just a lot of fun. Okay. I feel like I should break into song. And so make sure I say this. The women and men of my agency are the finest group of public servants I've ever encountered. They really do bring their heart and souls to the work every single day. And they are a continuing source of inspiration. And the achievements that we made, like, for example, being named the best managed state park system in the United States of America last year, is a tribute to the women and men of the agency. And you know, all of you know, I think, the incredible work that our Bureau of Recreation and Conservation does, that the Bureau of State Parks does, that the Bureau of Forestry does, around so many of the things that we care about. Now, you folks know all about how and why trails are important. And if you don't, I would probably just leave now. But you know, for example, that the Great Allegheny Passage generates $40 million of local economic activity every year. So we know the power of trails, we know the power of recreation, we know the power and the potential of connecting natural resources and the outdoors and place to economic prosperity. In fact, it's the linchpin of economic prosperity. It is the key of the path to sustainable development in Pennsylvania. And the work that we have done together, I think, is some of the best work of its kind in the country. And the fact that we have a trail probably within about 10 minutes of every Pennsylvanian is an incredible accomplishment. What Allegheny County Chief Executive Dan Alvarado announced this week, the completion of the last major piece of land to finish the Great Allegheny Passage. Now let's get it to Erie. There's just been an incredible amount of work done. And you all need to be very proud of that, and I know that you're all advocates for it. But what I want to talk about today, not to put a downer on things, are the threats to that work. Now, we have done some of the most important work and been in an extremely productive time for trails and for cementing that relationship between place and prosperity. Again, we've done some of the best work in the country. The threat here is that all of this work is going to grind to a halt for a couple of reasons. First reason is, as David alluded to, Growing Greener expires at the end of December. We run out of money. So DCNR, being the sugar daddy, you know, when I go into some of these meetings, I have the sense that I'm wearing this pork chop around my neck. And the only way the dogs play with me is because I have the pork chop around my neck. But our ability to partner with you and to participate in the visions that you have for your regions, for the aspirations that you have for your communities, that ability is going to fall almost to nothing. It's going to fall by at least 75%. So our ability to continue to support the wonderful community empowering work that you do in trail work, and I want to thank Peg for organizing this symposium, our ability to support that work is going to be drastically reduced. And there is no substitute for that money. There's nothing coming down the pike to replace it. So where's the future of this work? What is the future of this work? Where are we going together? How are we going to get to where we need to go together? It's certainly going to require creativity and energy and drive. Frankly, it is also going to require some organizing and some politicking. And I'll talk a little bit about that. We also face another threat in Pennsylvania. It's kind of the twin threat of economic difficulties and easy money that is all enfolded in the Marcellus play. If you know what has unfolded in Harrisburg over the last couple of years, the state's budget has gone in the dumper along with the rest of the economy. DCNR's budget today, in actual dollars, is the same as what John Oliver started with 15 years ago. Hasn't grown at all. He had the same number of dollars to spend that I did. And clearly our purchasing power has gone down pretty significantly. So that our ability to provide public services and to do the important things that we do in terms of managing the public lands and ensuring the quality of services in state parks, all of that has diminished. So a government is under pressure. State government is under pressure, and our ability to deliver basic public services is certainly under an enormous amount of stress. And the fact that we've done as well as we have, again, is a testament to the women and men of my agency. But there's a bigger threat than just budgets, and that is mentality, a culture of expediency. Our budget was cut because, according to the prevailing wisdom in Harrisburg, you can cut budgets without consequence. Government is bloated, government is too big, government doesn't do anything right. It's the Reagan-era fallacy that government can't get out of its own way. And that mentality has given rise to the situation that we find ourselves, where we had an opportunity in the last several months to put in place a funding stream that would renew Growing Green, that would continue the state's ability to fund trail work, and we blew it. And I use that word "we" very intentionally. We blew it. It's not just the Senate that got, frankly, bought off by the natural gas industry. That's exactly what happened. We are the only gas-producing state in the United States without a severance tax, because the industry bought the Senate. I say that because I'm on my way out, but I'd say it anyway, because I said it a year ago, right after I was appointed, and got into some trouble for it. The simple fact of the matter is we had an opportunity to levy a common sense severance tax on natural gas. Pennsylvania has every prospect of being the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We're sitting on top of the largest resource, the largest natural gas resource in the world. It is also in the center of the strongest natural gas market in the world. And the gas that's coming out of these Marcellus wells is pipeline quality right out of the well. So it's incredibly low cost, incredibly high profit gas, found nowhere else in the world. And somehow, maybe because there's industry cash washing up in Harrisburg like tar balls on a beach, that the Senate bought the line that somehow if we levy a modest severance tax on natural gas, the industry's going to go someplace else. Like, is the gas going anywhere? I don't think so. But somehow, that is where we stand today. That we have this enormous resource play. And if you know anything about Pennsylvania's history, the history of the state has been punctuated with waves of resource extraction. Whether it was Drake's drilling of the first oil well in Titusville, to the discovery of coal, to the timbering over this state that left the whole north-central region of the state as a wasteland 100 years ago. In each of those cases, Pennsylvania got it wrong. We privatized profit and we socialized cost. And here we are again. George Santayana said, "Those who fail to remember the past are condemned to repeat it." We're repeating the same mistakes that have been made over the history of the state. We're going to privatize the profit, we're going to socialize the cost. Now, the thousands of miles of orange streams in Pennsylvania that can't support aquatic life are just one vivid testament to that mentality, where we put private profit over social gain and social benefit. And here in the Marcellus play, at least where we stand today, with the Senate having gone home for the election, is we're going to do it again. And one of the consequences of that non-action is that the easy opportunity that we had to significantly fund and renew Growing Greener has been lost. We've lost a few other things as well, including the ability to help communities around the state that are being impacted by drilling. But we lost the ability to fund and continue to fund the kind of work that is so important to all of you. And the real question is, where do we go from here? I don't have an answer today. What I can tell you is that we have got to find a way forward. Because this work is too important to allow to wither away and die. We know the impact that it has on communities. We know the economic impact. And sometimes it's too easy to measure the impact of this work just in dollars. To say that the Great Allegheny Passage generates $40 million a year in local economic activity, that's wonderful. To say that, for example, every dollar invested in state parks returns 10 to the local economy, that's great, but it's not enough. There's more to this work than dollars and cents. It's quality of life, it's the kind of communities we want to have, it's the kind of state we want to pass down to our children and our grandchildren. That is what is at stake here. That is really the central importance behind what you're doing. Trail building is great, and outdoor recreation is wonderful, whether it's on horseback, whether it's walking, hiking, motorized recreation, it's all wonderful. But it's community building. It's building the kind of future that we want, and we can't afford to let this work stop because we know the potential. So the onus isn't on the Senate. The onus isn't necessarily on Tom Corbett or Dan Honorato. The onus is on us. If we want this work to continue, if we want to see public investment in trail work and the preservation of open space, and all of the important environmental priorities that face this state, we have got to make it so. So I didn't come out here today to just say how great trails are and how DCNR is committed to continuing to work with you, which we are. We absolutely are, regardless of who the secretary is. The good news is, I may be long gone, but the folks who stood up earlier won't. They will continue to be wonderful partners with you. And groups like PEC will continue to be here. And we can turn to great people like Ted Eubanks, who can still inspire us. But we've got to be inspired. And the real question is, will we be inspired, and will we be inspired enough to take action? That is really the question before us today. The pockets are turned out, our ability to help is pretty much gone. Whether or not the pocket gets refilled is up to you. So we all have to take an interest in what is happening in Harrisburg and what direction public policy takes. I will be very honest with you that I think there needs to be an extremely robust and healthy expression of outrage at what the Senate has done and their abdication of responsibility. And frankly, they flipped everybody the bird and left Harrisburg to go campaign with money provided to them by the natural gas industry. Are we going to take that sitting down? Are we going to allow that kind of mentality to truncate the important work that you do? Now, today's all about building connections. We're going to let those connections be cut off. Now, I will be gone in 88 days. You will still be here. Your communities will still be here. Your aspirations for those communities and for your kids will remain. Who's going to win? It's up to you. So my message today, I would love to say I'll have a truckload of money, my successor will have a truckload of money. The fact is we won't. And for the foreseeable future we won't. We're going to have to be creative and clever and agile to figure out how we continue this work and leverage all the energy and creativity that we have. But we're also going to have to get active politically. And I, rather than drone on and beat everybody over the head, I want to leave you with this. This is something that John Kennedy said. He said that in a democracy, every citizen, regardless of his interest in politics, holds office. Every one of us is in a position of responsibility. And in the final analysis, the kind of government we get depends upon how we fulfill those responsibilities. Kennedy said that we, the people, are the boss. And we will get the kind of political leadership, be it good or bad, that we demand and deserve. Folks, we will get the kind of leadership that we deserve. This work deserves the support of government. This work is basic to government. This is about democracy with a small d. It's about the kind of communities we want, the kind of state that we want to hand to our children. If that isn't worth fighting for and organizing around, I don't know what is. But it's up to you. This work can continue, but it's up to you.